It's Nolan. Yeah. It's J Nolan. Don't know Terry on the track. Check. More than a rapper, I give you my whole existence. If you look into my work, you find a story of persistence. Climb from the underground, my hands covered in blisters. Played the side like a mistress, bitch, we made it out the trenches. Woo! Private number like a troll nigga. Nintendo Switch and I control niggas. Had to get it out of cold winters. Still try and give it for some gold niggas. Paralyzed, I got no feelings. All these tricks addicts letting the cold kid me. Harry check at least 4 figures. Underrated like Lou Williams. Lord save me, I'm going crazy, going stupid on them. I don't spit a hawk Lucas on them. I don't take pics or drop movies on them. I'm a motion picture, wrote a scripture. Did the cancer and the composition. When it come to rap, it's no competition. Better double back and get about your business. Yeah, that's my new vision. Gotta get my bag, gotta get my dough. Yeah, that's my new vision. Gotta keep my masses in my control. Yeah, that's my new vision. Gotta turn my thoughts on the side, let go. Yeah, that's my new vision. What y'all gonna do with it? Yeah, that's my new vision. Gotta get my bag, gotta get my dough. Yeah, that's my new vision. Gotta keep my masses in my control. Yeah, that's my new vision. Gotta turn my thoughts on the side, let go. Yeah, that's my new vision. What y'all gonna do with it? Yeah.
What's going on, beautiful people? It's the kid J Nolan here. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, your number one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Hope everybody is doing well. All right, y'all. I talked briefly about this before, but this is our actual dedicated video on the subject. We got to get into Beyonce being snubbed and not credited nor mentioned or any of the like at the CMA Awards. Wow. Now, of course, this is a big deal because, like I stated before, Beyonce has one of the biggest country albums of the year, one of the highest grossing albums of the year in terms of country music. And to be honest, she created a conversation around country music that would have never happened otherwise. Not to mention, we got so many black country music artists that were involved in the Cowboy Carter project that were able to take their career to the next level due to their association to the project, due to their contributions on the project, and due to the conversations that were had around them and what they had going on the heels of that project. So for her not to even get a mention or a nomination in no type of way, it seems like it's a personal thing. Now, we did touch on this briefly when Nicki Minaj came out and she had her issues with Jay-Z, and she basically said that he's going to allow, or let's rephrase that. She basically said he's going to act like somebody is a victim and being mistreated, right? Some might say that could be aimed at Megan Thee Stallion. However, Megan Thee Stallion is not in a position of being mistreated at this current time in the game. Megan Thee Stallion is in a position of power. She's making power moves. She's eating, and she's doing it her motherfucking way. Beyonce, on the other hand, she's doing more of the same, but we see that she tried to break down the barriers. She tried to kick down the doors. She tried to basically force the hand of country music, not in a disrespectful way, but in a way to say, hey, we out here too. And as we can see, the pushback on her has been tremendous, right? So let's get into it furthermore. Beyonce's 8th studio album, Cowboy Carter, was one of the year's biggest country albums, having spent 4 weeks on top of the Billboard Top Country Albums chart. She was the first black woman to achieve this feat. Her song, Texas Hold'em, reached number 1 on the Hot 100 chart, which is the entire industry, not just country, making it one of her highest selling singles to date. And we know that her body of work is crazy. So for her to top anything that she already had out in the streets, that ain't no small thing. They said the song topped the country charts for 10 weeks straight, and they almost didn't even want to acknowledge it over there, let alone some of the country radio stations didn't want to play it. Despite these achievements, the CMAs decided not to nominate Beyonce for any category, even though she qualified for categories such as Single of the Year, Song of the Year, Album of the Year, Female Vocalist of the Year, Music Event of the Year, and Entertainer of the Year. And let's be perfectly honest here. They didn't want to nominate her because she probably would have swept all them bitches. They say, I would rather not have you on the ballot than allow us to vote for your ass. That is fucking crazy. Or knucking futs, as they say. What the hell going on, man? Nonetheless, although none of her work was acknowledged, two of Beyonce's Cowboy Carter collaborators did score nominations. Post Malone, Mr. Song of the Summer, and Shaboozey. Post Malone, who just recently dabbled into country music, received 4 nominations. He was welcomed with open arms. I wonder why. And even Shaboozey, who's had a footprint in the country music, even before working with Beyonce, he received nominations as well. He had a breakout year after being featured on 2 songs on Cowboy Carter. He received 2 nominations. So, yeah, when we talk about snub, we talk about erasure, we talk about all that stuff. There was so much excitement earlier this year. And folks just watching it happen. She don't get no outrage, but Lil Wayne gets all the outrage for the Super Bowl. Interesting. Very interesting. But you know, hey. You can't force everyone's hand, man. It's all good. She's gonna continue to be successful. And ain't there another one on the way? Act 3. Alrighty. In other Beyonce news, she has a new GQ article out where she touches on a lot of things. So we're gonna also go over the conversations being had here. They say the business of being Beyonce knows Carter. That's a dope ass title from the jump. In GQ's October cover story, the artist talks business, legacy, art, and family. She said it's not about being perfect, it's about being revolutionary. I've done this for other artists. Let's go through as much of this as I can tolerate, because it is a little exhaustive. Not really. I read. So a lot of people don't read, but let's join the book club for today, all right? So they say Beyonce's breaking out midway through Cowboy Carter, her 8th and most recent studio album, released this past spring. A voice makes the project's mission statement plain over blaring alarms and a thunderous beat, declaring the concept of genre to be a sense of confinement for those artists whose creativity is too wide-ranging to fit in a neat box. All before Beyonce herself saunters in comparing herself to Thanos, the Marvel villain known for seeking precious stones of mystical power to claim as his own and assemble into one unified superpower. There may not be an accompanying music video, but the lyrics conjure a potent visual. Beyonce armed with a bedazzled gauntlet, breaking down every stultifying wall, label, or box the industry ever tried to put in her across 30-year career. It's a theme that applies to much of what Beyonce has been up to for the past decade or so, especially in the last couple of years. A mission of reclamation, recentering blackness in spaces where our influence has been since de-emphasized, whether in rodeo, on the Great American Plains, or on sweaty ballroom dance floors. The project has been powered by legacy. Each step forward is illuminated with a look back, a tour through time, tracing her own roots while also yielding the knowledge that her family tree is just one in a larger forest where everything is connected. Whatever she does feels that much grander because of it. A new country-influenced album isn't just an exercise in undoing the strictures of genre. It's a history lesson where forgotten pioneers can get their props and true lineages can be explored. That voice denouncing genres belongs to Linda Martell, the black country pioneer whose efforts endured some of the same resistance Beyonce faced. We talked about that earlier as the album rollout was happening. And here we are, Manifest Destiny. She's going through the same exact shit. What people thought would be the barriers being broken this time around due to Beyonce's influence and power and just sheer artistry, because let's not act like she wasn't giving it up on the album. It sounds good. She made motherfuckers who had zero interest in no country, no bluegrass, no motherfucking none of it, folk, tuned in to see what she was going to do. I was one of them. And as such, her forays, both inside and outside of music, carry more weight than celebrity brands can never be expected to. For example, it felt equal parts momentous and inevitable when in late July, Vice President Kamala Harris featured Freedom as the soundtrack to her first presidential campaign ad. And Beyonce's voice and lyrics seemed to announce a new political moment. Now, there's Sir Davis. Beyonce Knowles Carter is getting into the whiskey trade as a founder in the most Beyonce of fashions, challenging notions of masculinity and flipping them. Our biggest female entertainer presenting the manliest of all spirits while honoring those in her lineage who came before. Sir Davis, created in partnership with Moet Hennessy, is named after her great-grandfather Davis Hoge and features the deliberate choice of branding it whiskey, spelled W-I-S-K-Y with no E, like they do in Japan and Scotland, and in contrast to how it's typically done in the U.S. Like everything she does, it is ancestral, it is formidable, it has been concocted to perfection, and as a black woman in a space perceived for old white men, it's striking. At 43, Beyonce has shown time and time again the ability to exert a rare kind of control over her image, her likeness, her music, and business world. She's become adept at breaking rules and entering new spaces in business and in art, creating new norms and new opportunities for others as she goes. At this rate, there's no frontier she can't conquer, no stone any longer outside of her grasp. As the end of that Cowboy Carter verse goes, I ain't no regular singer, now come get everything you came for. Still, there's plenty left to wonder about. What keeps her going? 3 decades in with nothing left to prove. Who is she really between the critically acclaimed albums, the blockbuster tours, and the dynamic docu-concert films? We got a rare glimpse in an extensive back and forth conducted via email this summer. So this entire interview that she did with GQ, unfortunately, is not an in-person. It is via email. So let's see what they have to say. They ask where she is. At the time of print, it says she was on the East Coast. She says, while I enjoy a little bit of summer sunshine, most days I try to wake up around 6 a.m., squeezing in an hour or two of work before the little ones are up. Parenting while working. I move forward, embracing the beauty and the chaos of it all. Our home is alive with cousins and friends, spontaneous talent shows, and the clatter of dominoes. I've been trying to focus on my health, taking my supplements, and eating very clean. I've given up meat once again, except for turkey this summer. So, Beyonce back vegan on these house. Man, except for turkey. She says, I'm trying to muster the strength to work out, but I just can't do it today, maybe tomorrow. GQ says, this spring you released a new album, and I have a lot of questions about that and how it connects to your past work. But first, I want to start with the new thing, whiskey. I guess I'm wondering why liquor. Beyonce says, I'll never forget the first day I had whiskey. It spoke to me nice. I remember thinking, why have I never had this before? It was strong and warm, just the right amount of challenge. I love the process, the ritual of it. Whiskey ain't something you shoot down. It's a commitment. You got to have patience. I like that. Then I got into vintage Japanese whiskey and started doing tastings. It opened up a whole new world. I love everything about whiskey, the color, the smell, the way it dances in the glass, and I love the stories that come with it. Every bottle has a history. I also like introducing whiskey to people who don't know they love it yet. I think a lot more women would love it if they tasted it and if they were really spoken to by the whiskey world. She says whiskey isn't just for old men in smoky bars. It's for anyone who appreciates depth, complexity, and a bit of mystery. The entire aging process is a labor of love with attention put into every step, from the grains, malting, to the handcrafted barrels, and I appreciate all of it. Making whiskey is an art form. That's what I love and respect about it. As the great Willie Nelson once said, sometimes you don't know what you love until somebody puts you onto some real good shit. So to all the whiskey lovers out there, you're welcome. Great promo there. Back to the album. Your new album. Wait, no. If they talking about some more goddamn whiskey, we gonna skip that shit. You know what I mean? Shout out to the whiskey, though. Your new album is notably called Cowboy Carter, not Cowgirl Carter. What are you trying to say with that? And now with Sir Davis about gender and race through these titles. She says, I wanted everyone to take a minute to research on the word cowboy. History is often told by the victors. In American history, it's been rewritten endlessly. Up to a quarter of all cowboys were black. These men faced a world that refused to see them as equal, yet they were the backbone of the cattle industry. The cowboy is a symbol of strength and aspiration in America. The cowboy was named after slaves who handled the cows. The word cowboy comes from those who were called boys, never given the respect they deserved. No one would dare call a black man handling cows, Mr. or Sir. For me, Sir Davis is a sign of earned respect. We all deserve respect, especially when we give it. I could fuck with that. I don't drink, so I ain't gonna really fuck with the drink like that. But to those who do, salute. All right. They say, what has your experience been like as a black woman in business spaces that some might have assumed you wouldn't thrive in? She says there's a huge contrast between the business journeys of men and women. Men often have the luxury of being perceived as the strategists, the brains behind their ventures. They're given the space to focus on the product, the team, the business plan. Women, on the other hand, especially those in the limelight, are frequently pigeonholed into being the face of a brand or the marketing tool. It's important to me to continue to take the same approach I've taken with my music and apply my learnings to my businesses. I'm here to change that old narrative. I'm here to focus on the quality. We took our time, we did our research, and we have earned our respect for our brand. I try to choose integrity over shortcuts. I've learned that true success isn't about leaning on a name. It's about crafting something genuine, something that can hold its own. It's not about being perfect. It's about being revolutionary. Getting back to the album, Cowboy Carter was the second album in a planned trilogy that you started 2 years ago with Renaissance. What sparked this grand idea to do a trilogy of records, each exploring different genres? She says, I started Cowboy Carter almost 5 years ago. Pay attention to my age in the lyrics of 16 Carriages. From the start of my career and on every album, I have always mixed genres, whether it's R&B, dance, country, rap, zydeco, blues, opera, gospel. They have all influenced in some way. I have favorite artists from every genre you could think about. I believe genres are traps that box us in and separate us. I've experienced this for 25 years in the music industry. Black artists and artists of color have been creating and mastering multiple genres since forever. This is why it was so important for me to sample the composer Joseph Belloni, known as Chevalier de Saint George, in the song Daughter on Cowboy Carter. Violin Concerto in D major, Opus 3, number 1. Adagio was created in the 1700s. This is a testament to Chevalier's vision. I hope it inspires artists as well as fans to dig deeper and learn more about the black musical innovators who came before us. Some of the most talented artists never achieved the mainstream praise they deserve, especially when they defy the norm. I was so hyped to see a song like Texas Hold'em gain worldwide acceptance. Even more exciting was how it helped reinvigorate the country genre across music, fashion, art, culture, and introduce the world to so much great talent like Shabuzi, Tanner Riddell, Willie Jones, Brittany Spencer, Tierra Kennedy, and Raina Roberts. And I want to go ahead and give a salute to her for doing the callback to those artists who, once again, their careers were propelled due to their inclusion on this project. They had already been beating their feet in this particular genre, not necessarily getting the credit they deserve. And she put the fucking flag in the ground to make sure that they got noticed on a different level. So I want to definitely give her all the credit for that. Not to mention, so many people have gotten into their country era. The boots are back in style selling. The hats are back in style selling. The motherfucking shirts with the little ruffle shits in it. You know what I mean? Motherfuckers is in their cowboy era, not because of no goddamn, you know what I mean? We ain't gonna fill in the blank. But y'all know what I'm talking about. Shit came from Cowboy Carter. We talked about her hair care line. We're gonna skip that. You can go to the GQ album. Shit, if you want to see all of this. Some of this stuff is gonna get skipped. Dun-dun-dun. They say your reputation as a perfectionist precedes you. We see and hear it in the finished version of everything you release, and you lean into this narrative in documentaries like Homecoming and Renaissance. But is there a point where that reputation is a burden or even a prison? Do you ever feel personally overwhelmed by the weight of expectations set by the highs of your previous work? She says, I created my own pace on things that I hope will touch other people. I hope my work encourages people to look within themselves and come to terms with their own creativity, strength, and resilience. I focus on storytelling, growth, and quality. I'm not focused on perfectionism. I focus on evolution, innovation, and shifting perception. Working on the music for Cowboy Carter and launching this exciting new project feels nothing like a prison, nor a burden. In fact, I only work on what liberates me. It is fame that can at times feel like prison. So when you don't see me on red carpets and when I disappear until I have art to share, That's why. Furthermore, they ask, increasingly, your work seems a little bit like a family business. For instance, recently, your 12-year-old daughter, Blue, has evolved from a curious onlooker of your creative process to fully being a part of it with her own dance routine in your last tour beside you. Were you ever hesitant to include her in your public life and work with all of the scrutiny and sometimes criticism that entails? How has it felt to watch her blossom as a creative force in her own right? She says, I build my work schedule around my family. People get it. I try to only tour when my kids are out of school. I always dreamt of a life where I could see the world with my family and expose them to different languages, architecture, and lifestyles. Fucking salute to that. Man, I ain't gonna lie, dog. This parenting stuff, man, I'm a new parent, but this shit is real. Changes your whole shit. She says, raising 3 kids isn't easy. The older they get, the more they become their own individuals with unique needs, hobbies, and social lives. My twins are God sent. Parenting constantly teaches you about yourself. It takes a lot of prayer and patience. I love it. It's grounding and fulfilling. My kids come with me everywhere I go. They come to my office after school and they are in the studio with me. They are in dance rehearsals. It's natural that they would learn my choreography. Blue is an artist. She has a great taste in music and fashion. She is a fantastic editor, painter, and actress. She's been creating characters since she was 3. She's a natural, but I did not want Blue on stage. Blue wanted it for herself. She took it seriously and she earned it. And most importantly, she had fun. We all watched her grow more and more every night before our eyes. And hey, man, salute, because I wouldn't have got up there. I can't. Hey, you'd have gave me an 8 count. I'd have flipped out on the second and said, thank you. I appreciate it. Shout out to Blue. They say you must have been approached thousands of times over the years about getting into various businesses. What does a business idea or ambition need to contain in order for you to get excited? She says, I get excited about love, legacy, and longevity. Do I love what I am trying to create for the love of it? I am discovering that legacy is the common denominator in all the businesses I've done. Excuse me. What are the new things you've learned about yourself as you lean harder and more assuredly into this entrepreneurial lane? She says, I'm drawn to authenticity. I don't waste my time on something unless I'm deeply passionate about it. If I don't wake up thinking about it and I'm not going to sleep dreaming about it, it's not for me. My perception of what success looks like for me is very different than most. When I commit, I'm 100% in. I prefer to focus quietly, uninterrupted by things that are a distraction to the authenticity. I believe everything can always be better. My job is to give until it is the best it can possibly be. I'm inspired by things that fill a void, solve a problem, or don't already exist. Otherwise, I'm not drawn to the opportunity. I try to challenge myself and the people around me to think differently. I think a big part of success is your outlook on life. That's a fact. Every disappointment is an opportunity for growth, an opportunity to pivot. I trust God even when it feels like I can barely see the light at the end of the tunnel. I know the earth is going to open up for me. Okay. And let me see if there's anything else in here that intrigues me. They say, having just released your 8th album, when you step back and look at the breadth of your discography, what do you see? What do you hope to see when it's all said and done? She says, I'm proud of what I've been able to do, but I also recognize the sacrifices, mine and my family's. There was a time when I was pushing myself to meet unrealistic deadlines while not taking the time to enjoy the benefits of why I was working so hard. There aren't many of us from the late 90s who were taught to focus on mental health. Back then, I had little boundaries and said yes to everything. But I've paid my dues 100 times over. I've worked harder than anyone I know, and now I work smarter. In the end, the biggest reward is personal joy. Has what I created pushed others to think freely and believe in the impossible? If the answer to that question is yes, then that is the gift. That is a beautiful answer. I ain't gonna lie. That's dope. And again, you got to kind of be in the same mindset. Doesn't mean you have to have accomplished the same things, but you got to have time to ground yourself. And if you don't have that time to ground yourself, you got to take the time to ground yourself. You know what I mean? Even in the small moments, that little 5-10 minutes you get to yourself when ain't nobody around. Yeah, you got to do something, right? Otherwise, you're going to be in a hamster wheel. And at a certain point, there's no way out of the hamster wheel, even though it's to the right or the left of you. When do you stop pounding your feet and jump off that motherfucker? You can get in too deep. Okay. They say your 2011 album 4 was deliberately anti-pop or at least anti-trend. In regard to what was happening in pop music at the time, which looking back feels like the beginning of you approaching all of your albums this way. Beyonce responds, she says, I wouldn't say that I was anti-pop. I respected pop. But it was a time where everyone was doing pop/dance music and R&B soul were getting lost. It was popular and fun, but it wasn't my thing. It was not where I was going with my career at that time. I was yearning for something deeper with more musicality. That's when I put out 1+1 and Love on Top, and I still love Love on Top. I didn't used to fuck with Love on Top when I was younger. All right, visuals. Relatedly, was your decision to move away from music videos a deliberate one? You pioneered and perfected the visual album to such an extent that it was striking to see Cowboy Carter and Renaissance released without any. Here we go. B says, I thought it was important that during a time where all we see is visuals, that the world can focus on the voice. The music is so rich in history and instrumentation. It takes months to digest, research, and understand. The music needed space to breathe on its own. Sometimes a visual can be a distraction from the quality of the voice and the music. The years of hard work and detail put into an album that takes over 4 years. The music is enough. The fans from all over the world became the visual. We all got the visual on tour. We then got more visuals from my film. Interesting perspective there. They say you've compared what you do to being an athlete, and all athletes in all sports have a sort of inevitable ticking clock hanging over them as they get older. Do you ever think about the end of your career at all, far off though it may be? Okay, so they asking her about retirement. She says, I've been putting my body through extremes for multiple decades. I've always strived to perform at the level of my favorite athletes on my tours, except in embroidered crystals and high heels. Ha! My knee injury was an opportunity to transition into a new animal. I retired from the formula of the pop star a very long time ago. I stopped focusing on what's popular and began focusing on the qualities that get better with time and experience. Good music and strong messages will never retire. That is the fucking fact. See, y'all gonna make me go into bed. As you get older, you might not be able to do the same shit that you could physically. But that's where the creativity comes into play. That's where time, wisdom, experience comes into play, man. Where you can actually reflect and create bodies of work that actually inspire those younger then to see what that looks like when you age out of your physical peak, right? Or your where you could just do acrobatics in certain areas, and it doesn't have, and we're not just talking about physical, we're talking about acrobatics in terms of just like, even for a rapper, right? Maybe your breath control ain't the same as it used to be. You could just rap a million miles a minute on some Twister Busta Rhymes shit, but you ain't that person no more. But you can make music that actually touches people on a different level rather than focusing solely on the acrobatics of it. Of course, in today's day and age, we don't even have the acrobatics. The only motherfucker that cares about that is Eminem. They say, what is currently inspiring you in music and film? What's the best thing you've heard in 2024? She says, I love and respect all of the female singer-songwriters who are out right now. Oh, yeah, let's give some time to give flowers. She says, Ray, dope. Victoria Monet, dope. Sasha Keeble, I'm not familiar. Chloe and Halle, Renee Rapp. I love Doechii and Glorilla. And I just heard that Mexican OT, he's from Houston. He goes hard. That is a fucking hell of a cosign. She says, I really like Please, Please, Please by Sabrina Carpenter. And I think that The Sacred Souls and Chappelle Roan are talented and interesting. I'm obsessed with My Backseat Baby. I'm a smiler. But the truth is, I spend most of my time listening to the classics like Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, and music from artists on the Stax label. I just watched the documentary. It's so good. I highly recommend it. The best movie I've seen this year is Inside Out 2. I think it's brilliant. And I'm currently watching House of the Dragon and The Chi. Who would have known Beyonce watches these things? I bet the motherfucking actors and all of this stuff. And of course, those legendary artists from the Stax documentary. That's huge. Glorilla, Victoria Monet, Ray, Doechii, Mexican OT. today's price. It's not yesterday's price for none of them. I guess I'll just read this last question. She has a lengthy answer, but we'll cap it off here. They say, when you're not in go mode or when the work is done, at least for a minute, how do you make time for yourself? What is one thing you do that's just for you, totally separate from work and family? She says, singing is not work for me. I sing for me. I love music and I love to sing. It's a passion that runs deep. There's magic in the way it feels on my throat, a resonance that vibrates through me. When I am at my lowest, when I've been sad or in a heavy fog, sick or anxious with sleepless nights, I sing, and often I sing alone. My voice has always been my companion. It's why I've always been able to be happy alone. Music understands my heart even when I can't find words, but always it's in those private sanctuaries, the studio, the car, where I find my peace. Singing soothes me. It steadies my heartbeat. It's my best hit of dopamine. There's a certain magic in sitting at the piano, letting my fingers play random chords, and as I just let any and everything come out. Singing has healed me time and time again. It's been my refuge. It's one of the deepest joys in my life, a necessity as vital as breath. Without singing, without music, without creating, I would be a walking dead. Jesus, you speak to my soul. Creating music isn't work for me. It's what I was born to do. I also have my sacred Sundays, where I practice my self-care. I take baths with essential oils, do acupuncture, cupping, reflexology, and I play sound bowls with my kids. I make honey, paint, decorate, swim, and design clothes and stages. I've written children's books for my children and design animation. Anything creative makes me happy. I also edit for fun. I genuinely enjoy it. She be working even when she got... Hey! You designing clothes and stages and all this other stuff. You still working even on your off time. The mind of a creative. So yeah, that's Beyonce's GQ interview, giving a little bit of insight. We hardly get to hear her speak. She doesn't do very many interviews. She does less interviews on camera. So I just wanted to give y'all a glimpse into where she is today. Despite not getting the credit that she deserved from the CMAs, there was no mention of it. But best believe it's noted, and I'm quite sure whatever Act 3 may be, that shit's going to be even bigger, even more monumental, especially with the treatment she received on Act 2. All right, let me know what y'all think of all of this down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, become an insider. I will see y'all on the next one, all right? Peace.
King of my city and cul-de-sac. Coming out swinging like soldier rag. Leading my people like quarterback. Boy, I study this shit on my almanac. Had to get up and grind. Knowledge is booming, I'm here to apply. Came with the chip and the dip, it just single the mind. We finna do more than survive. I need my check. Spinning the block for the Gouda. We hitting the jeweler to flood out the net. We don't do beef on computers, I'm straight out the sewer. We come when you rest. Niggas be looking perplexed, so keeping my foot on their neck. No map, I trust my gut for the quest. But drama, I'm fully abreast. I was ready for years and they died of me. All of a sudden they tell me they proud of me. I been dropping these haters like calories. Cross them out, I came back with some boundaries. Stand for my honor, but too raw, no corner. Packing the stick with a drummer. Wanna catch my bad, won't fumble. I done came too far to be humble.